When we bought our beach bungalow 4 years ago in Wildwood, we always knew we wanted to renovate it by raising the old original home and adding on to the back. Little did we know the buried treasure we would find upon completion of our renovation. In case we haven't met, I'm Suzanne Gilson, Realtor down the shore with Century 21 Alliance. Along with my husband, a licensed contractor, we've helped hundreds of families buy, sell, and invest in real estate. Well, in today's video, I'm going to share with you this very exciting story. My husband dug up a buried treasure. Yes, currency from the year 1934. At approximately $2,000 in value today. Back then it would have been worth about $40,000. I'm going to let him tell the story as he is such a great storyteller. So I finally got my husband to agree to come on my YouTube channel because he's got a very interesting story to share. When we raised our old bungalow and started the process of completing renovations, he discovered something. And I'm going to let him tell you the story. Okay, hey Rich, how you doing? Thanks.
Good.
Thanks for taking the time to tell your story here on my channel. All right, so you bought the home, or we bought the house 4 years ago, and take it from there.
So 4 years ago, we lived in a little condo up the street, 145, and this is the 400 block. And we were just walking to a small liquor store that's over this way, past this house. We noticed it for sale. Very small house, big lot, and immediately we said, we can make this work. It's closer to the marina where our boat is. So my wife, who was a realtor, obviously, if you watch this channel, you know that, made that all happen. We put an offer in, we were accepted, and we lived here for about a year and a half, trying to figure out how we wanted things to go as far as the renovations. 2 years this fall, we will have been out of this house. We left the house, they raised it up, we built this big addition in the rear of the house, built a foundation, lowered the old house on top of it, and we finally, after almost 2 years, have an opportunity to start doing some landscaping and put the driveway in, which I've been looking forward to because, you know, we don't look so pretty in the neighborhood. The house looks pretty, but it's surrounded by debris. So last Friday, I said to Suzanne, I would like to go get a machine and start landscaping, and she lit up like a Christmas tree because she felt the same way I did. So I started with the underneath the porch, the old porch area, which was a crawl space, and I started to grade out for concrete.
So where the porch was the crawl space was under the porch as well?
Yeah,
or?
there was a crawl space under the house and under the porch, and the porch was concrete, so when we lifted it, you can't really lift a concrete porch 8 feet in the air, so I broke it up with a jackhammer and just, carted it all away, and thought I had cleaned all the debris up. So when I start to dig, I'm hitting concrete, I'm hitting jars, glass, pipe, pieces of old metal, old plumbing pipe.
And that's typical when you're digging in a residential?
It is typical, but I thought I cleaned it all up. So I was getting a little annoyed with the whole process of all this trash, because I have to keep getting off the machine, put it in different piles, because the steel goes to the scrapyard, the concrete goes to the recycling center, everything else goes to the trash. And some of it, the organic material, I put in a pile to use for grading. So anyway, I come across these two things that I really didn't know what they were. I actually thought that they were root balls. I thought that they had grown in a pipe or something, and I threw them in the backfill pile.
Is that rubber bands?
It is rubber bands. It's rubber bands. I thought initially that it was
twine?
No, I thought it was roots. I thought it was just roots wrapped around. It looked different than this because there was dirt all over it. It's since cleaned itself up a little bit. So I threw these in the soil pile, finished the grading, moved the soil pile to one side of the yard, and that was it for Friday. Saturday rained torrentially all day. I worked mostly inside, did a little outside work on the spiral staircase to the 3rd floor observation deck. Sunday morning I wake up and I have what they call a little dingo. It's has a bucket in the front, and I'm moving the soil from one side of the house to the other and grading as I go. And probably about 3 hours into it, I'm raking and grading, and one of these pops up again. And I'm saying, what is this? And I guess I was in a better frame of mind because I wasn't upset about the debris, that I stopped to look at it. And I realized after just pulling some of this burlap and paper away that it was actually paper, and it looked like money rolled up. I could see the edges like this right here, these edges that you see. So I started to undo it, and I knew it was money right away. I walked over to the garage where Suzanne was painting a piece of furniture that we repurposed for a sink in the powder room, and I said, "You will not believe what I found." I said, "This thing is full of money." So we started to break it apart. Of course, it was wet from the rain, and it wouldn't come apart real easy. You can see some of this is still together. But we realized, hey, this is old money. One of the ways you can tell is if you look at the back, there's a picture of the treasury with a vignette of cars and people walking, whereas if you look at a new $10 bill, you won't see that.
And then you discovered the date on the bills.
Every one of these bills is dated 1934 Series A, every one of them. So I said, they must have come from a bank, because you would never have all the same year bills by chance in your pocket. It would be very rare. You'd have, like today, you'd have 2009, 2017, 2020. You wouldn't have all of them like that. So then we started speculating. Somebody robbed the bank and they hid it here. Somebody, the banks in the Depression, 1934 was the midpoint of the Depression, Great Depression. People didn't trust banks. Banks were going under. There was no FDIC at that point, which is the Federal Insurance Deposit Association. And so I think maybe what happened is somebody pulled their money out of a bank and said, "I'm going to bury it under the house."
And buried it,
Yeah, they buried it. The entrance to the crawl space was in the rear right of the house. I found this where the crawl space was in the far front left corner, as close to that possible foundation wall as you could get.
About how many feet was that, do you think?
40 to 45 feet, they crawled all the way through there. Instead of, to me, I would have done it right by the entrance so I could just reach in and get it any time and maybe not forget where it was.
Right.
So that night, Sunday night, we go to dinner with a friend and we're talking about it. It's just the three of us know about it at this point. And my friend says to me, "You would think they would have put it in something, and really for as good a condition as it's in, it would seem like there would be in something." And at that point I remembered the bottles. So I went down and I dug up in this spot, exact spot where I found these. This, I think it's a milk jug, could be a mason jar, has like a porcelain cap and the number 7 on the bottom. I remember seeing this in the soil, sitting up like this, like undisturbed. So it was in that area for a long time. But then, as I kept working, I unearthed it.
Right. So
yes.
Probably in jars, tightly woven, wrapped in paper.
Burlap, then paper.
And then in jar, and then buried.
Tightly wrapped. These are $100 in here, in 10s and 20s.
And so $2,000 you discovered.
No, 1,000. That was 1,000.
Right.
So that was Monday. Tuesday our machine broke down. We couldn't landscape, so we were putting in a boardwalk, and we were excavating for the sleepers to put the boardwalk boards on, and this one popped up as we're working. It was just crazy because it's just a small little area of the house. I figured I'd lost this forever, and there it was. So the windup was we found 2,000. We haven't opened this one because I sort of wanted to see, to display the fact that it started like this. These are inside of this, and this is what's inside of these rolls.
So $2,000 back in 1934 was worth how much?
Between 40 and 45,000, which was quite
a lot of money.
Yeah, and if he just drained his bank account, I'm thinking there's not that much left. I don't know. From what I understand, the fellow who lived here was in the Navy, probably on a pension, probably was single. He was single, had a son that he was somewhat estranged from. So I don't think he would have spent a lot of money. So he probably took his pension money from the Navy and just kept accumulating it.
So it's been a fun, interesting story, and it's been fun talking to people about it. The news media has been so intrigued with it. and so have the public. But we've had family visiting, which, you know, when you live at the shore, you get a lot of company. And you know, for the first time, our grandson is visiting Wildwood, so we haven't had time to really investigate any further. But you do.
Really.
How do you plan to investigate? Just going like
Googling?
Try
to find out the name of the guy who, I know his last name, I don't know his first name. Just try to find out about him. Somebody around here must know who he was, or there must be records. And
okay.
And the other thing is, you know, I have no intention of spending this because I think that would be silly. I think it's just worth to keep it, and it makes a great story.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Yes, it was. I mean, the history. I mean, it wasn't like you found $2,000 that was printed in the last 5 years. I mean, this is almost 100-year-old money.
The history and the story was much more important.
Do you think it was buried in '34? Potentially, it could have been buried I mean, what do you...
Well, I understand the question. My answer to that is yes, I do believe that, because look at this dollar. This was probably not in circulation. It's pristine condition, other than the fact it's buried for 90-some years.
And we found some silver certificates too that say...
They love to get away from me
somehow. And you can tell they're silver certificates because... Okay, see the blue 10 on there?
And it says to the bearer...
in silver, payable to the bearer on demand.
Yep.
So
yeah, there are some
that's
silver
awesome.
certificates.
Yeah, we both love history, so this story has been fun, and you know, and the buzz around it has been fun. And so the point is too, you never know, you know, what's in your walls or under your ground when you have an old home. So
yeah, sometimes it is worth keeping the old structures.
Yeah, keeping the old structures and
just upgrading them and make them.
Keeping your eyes open.
Yeah, you know, it's always worth keeping your eyes open.
Yep, keep your eyes open when excavating. So, all right, Rich, thank you so much.
No problem.
Appreciate your time. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
If you're looking to buy a home that you can raise and renovate down the shore, give me a call. My contact information is below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.